Hi, Olivier, your favorite frog, Frenchman from Normandy. Yes, we have lots of frogs in Normandy. I'm one of them. Listen, I'm very inspired this weekend because many things. This has been an interesting week at looking at many things. First of all, as you know, I'm a very lucky man in that I worked in the city for many years, was able to put some good money aside, and have been trading for myself since 2001. Not that I didn't trade before, because I started when I was 16. I've always been fascinated by the market. I doubt you will find anybody who spends more time than me studying everything there is to study about the stock market. It's my hobby. I do it 24 hours a day. I make a living off it. I've made bots. I've made good products. I've been learning how to deal with trolls and people like that. I've been having coaching. It's been great. So I'm much better that way because I tend to have come from a very protected environment, sort of academic environment. In my high schools, United World College of Southeast Asia, Scots College, top universities, where we just hang around with like-minded people, put it that way. I had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. But in my later years, I'm back into research. I really love doing, I'm a solitary person. I live in the countryside, and I love looking for new things to do on the stock market. And I am totally obsessed by machines, systems, the latest there is. It's a bit of a family thing. We have companies, but we always have to have the latest machines, whatever happens, however it costs. So I have the means, and I've bought I'm going to say it again, I've bought every bot there is because I got fed up. Uh, um, Starting having doubts about my own system. Can you imagine that? Me having doubts. So I started saying, well, maybe some people have got better bots. And I've looked at all of them, and let me just say that I'm impressed by some programmers, how hard they work. I'm not saying it's like in science. If your premise is wrong, then your system might be wrong. It all starts from the premise, and you get obsessed by the premise. Uh, I have problems with certain. Uh, First of all, I think some of these robots are way too expensive, and just, I mean, if you're going to spend $2,000 for a robot, Jesus Christ, I've got a $50 signal. You can make that money yourself. Just stop being lazy. And it's not as if these programs are bringing you bundles, because I have one of them. It trades every once in a blue moon. I've tried everything to set it up properly. Sometimes it doesn't do trades for weeks, and Jesus, you want to go and spend that much money to have a trade every 3 weeks? Probably, I don't know. Um, I'm not going to complain about my fellow programmers, but I'm going to say that on MT4 there are two different people. There are people like me that have been trading all their lives, so I know what I've tried every premise. I'm going to talk about some premises today, actually, which you might find interesting. Um, if your premise is wrong, you can be working all your life on something, and your first assumptions are wrong. They're wrong. So, you know, why waste your time? Um, a couple of things. There are some robots trade once in a blue moon, and they do good trades once in a while, but sometimes they lose you a lot of money. Now, I have a problem as a full-time trader to see stops being hit all the time. Um, there's this thinking, and it comes mainly from Russia. Martingale, okay? Martingale was invented by a French mathematician, okay? You can look it up. he spent a lot of time on Martingale. He was basically a gambler. It's like doubling up, when you lose. And I think the premise is wrong. I'm going to say again, the Martingale premise is wrong because you're assuming you're going to get bad trades. Now, if you go into trading saying, well, most of my trades are going to be bad, what's the use? Why don't you spend more time trying to figure out a proper setup, proper trade, a 90% win factor like I have? Why? Because I spent 30 years trying to figure out how to enter this market. If you can get a machine to enter for you like I have, the BBSO is the best entry, and I've checked it with everything. It's the best entry I can possibly find. It's amazing. There are coincidences. It works with the same points as harmonics. It's oversold, overbought. It's systems. It's also uh, resistance. It's everything. The entry is fantastic. Okay, the exit is sometimes up to you, but it's probably because of my program, which is, and I'm a developer. I'm not going to pretend I'm a good programmer, okay? And there are very, very good programmers on the system. I'll know that, but their premise is wrong. I'm sorry. Some of their premises are wrong. You can be a very good programmer, but you need to know how to trade. And the premise is wrong. Okay, so let's just say one thing. People carry, and there's this amazing psychological thing, right? If you pay $500 for a bot, you're going to defend it through hell and thick and say it's the best bot in the world because you've paid $500 and you want your investment to pay off. Okay, fine. If you're going to pay $500 for a robot and it's going to do 4,000 trades and give you 3 or 4% a month, and you're happy with that, okay, I have a savings account. I can get pretty close to that in France now. I could go buy bonds in the US. I get that. Uh, just buying the Dow Jones, uh, I'm getting that in dividends. So, it just the biggest scam. I'll tell you what the biggest scam is in this business. It's stops. Stops is probably the biggest invention for brokers, and it's perpetuated by everybody. You must have a stop. You must have a stop. Well, let me tell you something. Stops were invented for stocks. Okay? Stocks can go to zero. A company can go wrong, can have bad management. You can lose everything. You lose your money. It's good to put a stop in. Yes. But currencies, why do you need a stop in a currency? Think about it. Depends which currency you're going to buy. Going to buy the New Zealand dollar to the rupee? Uh, I don't know what to say. The spread's going to be huge. What are you going to do? I mean, I basically only trade the euro. I get plenty of action on the euro. I've tried the other, a lot of others. I don't like the spread. It's complicated. I don't know. I'm European and I'm half American. I have an American passport too. And I was married to an American, and I spent a lot of time in America. I went to university for 7 years in America. I've been studying this for a long, long time. And so I'm going to stick to what I know. And what I know is the US market. I've made most of my money on the US market. Sorry. I always buy the Dow when it dips. It's not very complicated. The Dow goes down, I buy it, I wait, I get dividends and get paid. Okay? And I play the euro against the dollar because it's the biggest market in the world. I get zero point 0.9 spreads. The euro is not going to disappear. Europeans not going to disappear, even though people think it is. And maybe, but I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. And US is certainly not going to disappear. So playing the euro against the dollar with a zero point 0.9 spread, and the US government has trouble moving the euro. $4 billion traded every day. I mean, what are you going to do with that? You could move the New Zealand dollar, 50 pips in one night if you want, because it's so thinly traded. I mean, New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Think how small New Zealand is It has more sheep than people. Um, think about somebody with a little bit of money and just, oh, I just think I'll move the New Zealand dollar. Why do you need to diversify into so many currencies? Okay. And I'll tell you something. Martingale was invented by a French mathematician. And I think that there are two ways of thinking. There's the Russian thinking, okay, which for some reason Russians love Martingale. Okay, as I said, the premise to start with is wrong because you're assuming that you're going to get eight trades go wrong and two go right. Why don't you just concentrate on the right trades? Okay, if you go into a system thinking it's going to lose more than it's going to gain, is that a good system? And why Martingale on currencies? Because somebody put in your head, and they are right, that currencies will never go to zero. Countries will not go bankrupt. Europe will not go bankrupt. Okay. US will not go bankrupt. Switzerland will not go bankrupt. That's for sure. So, okay, you can argue that you will always come back the more you multiply. If you have unlimited capital and you keep on buying when the euro drops, one day or another it's going to come back. You're going to make money, I guess. But as a full-time trader, it just hurts me so much to watch all these stops get hit all the time. You're just making brokers rich. I don't use stops. I don't use stops. But I do and calculate a zone, which I'm not going to tell everybody how I do it. But there's a zone you should be in because if you leave the zone, you might take a long time to get, but you will get back eventually. If you sell the dollar, you're buying dollars. If you're shorting the dollar, you're buying the dollar. You're buying the dollar system. Are you saying America's not going to be here in a year? Of course, the dollar will always be strong. There'll be times it'll be weak, but it'll go back strong. You'll get your money back. Okay? You could argue the euro has dropped a hell of a lot, and I'm very happy because that's great for my range trader now. I think we're in ranges. People saying the euro going to one. I'm starting to doubt it's going to go there. So it's going to go to and fro with little margins, and you're going to get plenty of action every day. So let's talk about different things here because this week, I have a library inside my head. I've tried so many things. Have you ever heard of square waves? Let's talk about square waves because there was a very interesting article which I think has gone basically unnoticed. From a man, I can't even remember his name. Look it up, Fisher Transform, okay? Fisher Transform, this guy had a very good idea. This is some of the things he's done. And look how many systems you're going to buy for, it just makes me laugh. Go and buy an $88 system, which is based on Heinkinashi Smooth that you can get free anywhere on the internet. And people are buying it by droves. It's the number one selling product. Other ones based on Renko. How many are based on Renko? I mean, the most common computer system, the first one that was ever invented was on MACD. Somebody put an MACD program up. He's back, selling for 10 euros. Everybody's buying it. Sheep. I mean, do a little bit of work. It's all free. It's there. There's nothing new. It's all there. Harmonic patterns. How many harmonic pattern programs do you have? And, how many programmers are actually using proper ratios there? There's very few. I know one. Uh, but there's very few. And why are people only doing Gartleys and things? Gartleys hardly work anymore. Gartley was invented in 1930s. His first book was $1,500 and made a lot of money for people. But now every time there's a Gartley, every broker in the world plays against you and you're going to get stopped out. So, I talk about patterns like black swans and sharks and much longer extensions, 5 O's, total Gartleys, totals. Uh, these things you've never heard of, have you? Well, they're there and they're the best patterns to play. Okay. Now let's talk about square waves because it's interesting. What this man did, Fisher Transform. Okay. Now here's one. Look, it's called a two-pole super smoother. Okay. This is a paper that it's about 4 or 5 pages. I found it somewhere. And he talks about square waves. And what he means by square waves